Sound is not good enough. Please bear with us as we are doing our best. Here are some headsets recommended by Interprify. You should have received this presentation already, but if not, get in touch so it can be shared.
Now, some brief tips on the use of the platform. To request the floor, click on the green raise hand icon. This will place you in the speaker's queue. When the chair accepts your request, the following message is received. Chairperson allowed your streaming. Select video here in order to stream both audio and video. When you are given the floor, your microphone and camera icons will turn blue. Click on the red disconnect button to pass control back to the chair. To change the interpretation language during the meeting, select the language of your choice by pressing the Select button at the top left-hand side of your screen. The chat window allows you to communicate with all the other meeting participants and support staff. A private chat option is also available. Use this function when requesting technical support or to talk privately to other delegates. To start a private chat, click on the arrow icon next to a participant's name, type your message, and press send. To raise a point of order, please write in the event chat. In case you encounter connection or other issues during the meeting, press the Restart All Lines icon, the two rotating arrows above the raise hand icon. If this fails, try refreshing your browser, clearing your browser history, allowing camera and microphone on your browser, or finally restarting your computer. We thank you for your time and wish you a very successful meeting.
Focal points. Before we start, the Secretariat would like to share a few guidelines for participation. Before the meeting, we kindly ask that only the head of the delegation use the delegate link. Other delegation members are kindly requested to use the viewer link. To facilitate identification, please sign no identifying first your delegation, followed by your name. Please log off and log on again if you need to revise the format of your online profile. During the online session, when the floor is open, delegates shall use the raise hand function to indicate to the co-chairs and the Secretariat their desire to make an intervention. Delegates should kindly specify in the chat box if they are speaking on behalf of a regional or political group. Once given the floor, delegates should please turn on their microphone and, if possible, their camera. To facilitate interpretation recording, delegates should identify themselves every time they take the floor. Delegates who have taken the floor are kindly reminded to mute their microphones once they complete their interventions. Due to significant time constraints, delegates shall kindly limit their interventions to 3 minutes in the case of regional political groups and 2 minutes in the case of all other interventions. The written interventions of delegations will, upon request, be posted on the meeting webpage and the Law and Environment Assistance platform. Where interventions are provided for in the agenda, the co-chair shall invite first interventions from regional and political groups, followed by national focal points, followed by observers. The meeting platform Interprify will provide simultaneous interpretation into the 6 United Nations official languages. For clarifications and further support, please do not hesitate to contact the Secretariat through the email unap/montevideo@unem.org or through the number that appears on your screen. For support with technical issues on the Interprify platform, an online chat with technical assistant is available. The chat is accessible through the small icon and exclamation point in the corner of your screen. The Secretariat is looking forward to these 3 days of discussions. Thank you so much for your participation.
Thank you very much. And please do let me emphasize that, of course, myself and the entire team of the Secretariat is at your disposal for any assistance that you may require to ensure that you can have the best possible meeting. With this brief technical and practical introduction, it is now my great pleasure to give the floor to the Executive Director of UNEP, Ms. Inga Andersen, to address this meeting and to deliver her opening remarks. Inga, you have the floor.
Thank you very much indeed. And I wish to welcome all to this virtual meeting. I have now muted my internal speaker as I was instructed by the instructions here. So if you could give me a thumbs up that I am audible. Yes, thank you. So with this then, dear distinguished delegates, dear partners and colleagues, it's a really great pleasure to open this online session of the 5th Montevideo program for the development and periodic review of environmental law. Now, the COVID-19 pandemic has delayed this long-awaited meeting, shifting us from beautiful Rio de Janeiro in 2019 to our computer screens. I look forward to returning to Rio de Janeiro at a future time and thank our Brazilian colleagues for the generosity in offering to host back then. Nonetheless, we are eager to begin and grateful that we have this two-segment solution that will allow us to take some decisions now. The pandemic has disrupted our meeting, and this pandemic is, of course, a global tragedy. But it's not a standalone event, nor is it, we say at UNEP, the biggest threat humanity faces. It is, in a sense, a warning of what is to come if we do not transform our economies and our societies and live in a sustainable way on our planet. And that means taking real and meaningful actions to stabilize our climate, to protect the natural world, and to stem pollution. We have to do this if we have to have any chance of creating a world of prosperity, of equality, and of peace. And to get to that, environmental law will be absolutely critical, because environmental law is essential for the right to a healthy environment, which in turn is essential for the Sustainable Development Agenda. We need effective institutions and access to information and access to justice. And that's particularly important for vulnerable communities, indigenous peoples, and others who are exposed. These communities are often the best stewards of the land, and yet they are often also facing harassment and death in many parts of the world whilst they are defending their lands. For all of these reasons, therefore, environmental governance has been and remains and will be central to UNEP's new medium-term strategy. For all of these reasons, the Montevideo 5 program is a flagship for UNEP and for our member states to help strengthen environmental rule of law across the world. So, dear friends, while we at UNEP are deeply committed to the Montevideo program, we know that its success will depend on us all. This Montevideo program has partnerships, for the first time in its long history, hardwired into its DNA. It is now a true intergovernmental program that creates a network of national focal points that includes collaboration with our sister UN agencies, that includes the secretariats of the multilateral environmental agreements, that includes civil society organizations, academic institutions, and the private sector. I seek to use this I ask that you use this great opportunity, particularly when we next meet in person for the resumed segment of this meeting, to collaborate and to engage amongst one another to strengthen environmental law. I also ask that you take advantage of the new law and environment assistance platform, which we're launching as we speak, that will allow us for better collaboration and more assistance from UNEP. We must work together because strong environmental law is absolutely essential to shift the needle towards a sustainable and just future for all. This meeting is a significant step to start substantive activities under the Montevideo program and will therefore help contribute to a brighter future. I look forward to hearing the outcomes of your meeting and to working together to strengthen environmental rule of law and so to build a better future for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Inga, for your opening remarks and setting the scene for this important meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, national focal points, I would now like to draw your attention to the provisional agenda for the meeting as outlined in document number UNEP/environmental law/Montevideo 5/GNFP1/1 and the annotated provisional agenda, which is document UNEP/environmental law/Montevideo 5/GNFP1/1/add1. I draw your attention to agenda item 2, entitled Organizational Matters, and specifically item 2A on election of officers. As outlined in the annotated provisional agenda, the Secretariat proposes that for purposes of continuity, the officers who served as co-chairs during the consultations leading to the preparation and adoption of Montevideo Program 5, namely Mr. Tim Epp of the United States of America and Mr. Marcelo Cusillas of Uruguay as co-chairs, respectively, and Ms. Kunzang of Bhutan as rapporteur, preside over this meeting as co-chairs and rapporteur, respectively. May I therefore invite the national focal points to elect Mr. Timothy Epp from the United States of America, Mr. Marcelo Cusillas from the Republic of Uruguay as co-chairs for this meeting, and Ms. Kunzang from the Kingdom of Bhutan as rapporteur. I see no objections. Mr. Timothy Epp, Mr. Marcelo Cusillas, and Ms. Kunzang are so elected as co-chairs and rapporteur for the meeting. I now have the honor to invite Mr. Epp, Mr. Cusillas, and Ms. Kunzang to take their virtual seats as co-chairs and rapporteur for this meeting. May I also request the co-chairs to switch on their cameras as they do so. Okay, do it. Please give us just a few moments to make this virtual transition. Great, I can see we have the co-chairs now with us, camera switched on. Mr. Epp, Mr. Cusillas, congratulations on your election as co-chairs, and it gives me a great pleasure to now hand the formal part of the meeting over to you.
Muchas gracias, distinguidos participantes, colegas coordinadores nacionales, gracias por el honor de haber sido elegido copresidente de esta primera reunión de los coordinadores nacionales del programa de Montevideo 5. Gracias también a la Secretaría, al PENUMA y a la División Jurídica por su apoyo en la preparación de esta reunión. Me es grato dirigirme a ustedes desde la ciudad de Montevideo, capital de Uruguay, mi país, que ha sido la cuna donde nació el programa mundial relacionado con el derecho ambiental y por eso denominado Programa de Montevideo. Sin embargo, creemos que debemos comenzar tomando un momento para reconocer los devastadores impactos mundiales de la pandemia del COVID-19. Por ello, expresamos nuestras condolencias a todos los que se han visto afectados por sus graves consecuencias sanitarias, económicas, sociales y ambientales. El vínculo entre el bienestar humano y la biodiversidad, el clima y las crisis de contaminación son ahora más evidentes que nunca. Distinguidos delegados, recordarán que la Asamblea de las Naciones Unidas para el Medio Ambiente, en su resolución 4/20 de 15 de marzo de 2019, aprobó el 5º Programa para el Desarrollo y el Examen Periódico del Derecho Ambiental para el decenio que comienza en 2020 y que se basa en las ediciones anteriores del Programa de Montevideo, desde la primera que se diseñó aquí en 1981 y que por tanto tiene casi 20 años de acción para promover el estado del derecho ambiental. El programa de Montevideo 5 es un programa intergubernamental concebido para obtener la determinación y aplicación de medidas prioritarias en la esfera del derecho ambiental que ha de llevar adelante el PENUMA en colaboración con otros agentes pertinentes. El programa comenzó el 1 de enero de 2020 y prevé que una reunión mundial de los Centros Nacionales de Coordinación se celebre cada 2 años. La primera reunión mundial, como dijo la directora ejecutiva, estaba programada para celebrarse en persona en Río de Janeiro, en Brasil, entre el 23 y el 25 de marzo de 2020. Sin embargo, la reunión se aplazó debido a la pandemia de COVID-19 y ha sido reprogramada 2 veces por la misma razón. Finalmente, nos reunimos hoy, próximos a celebrar el Día Mundial del Medio Ambiente, para comenzar la primera parte de esta reunión mundial. Este segmento en línea se llevará a cabo durante los próximos 3 días, a través de 3 sesiones de 2 horas cada una. Luego reanudaremos nuestra reunión con una sesión presencial en 2022, en un lugar y fecha a determinar. Por mi parte, trabajaré arduamente con mi colega copresidente, Tim Earp, y con la señora Kun San como relatora, para que esta reunión sea un éxito. Con su apoyo podremos adoptar las decisiones institucionales necesarias y dar la orientación estratégica requerida al PENUMA para iniciar las actividades sustantivas del programa de Montevideo. Con tan poco tiempo para la tarea por delante es difícil, pero confío en que podamos tener éxito con el apoyo de todos ustedes. Permítanme ahora dar la palabra a mi distinguido copresidente y agradecerle una vez más a todos que me hayan elegido para ocupar este lugar en la mesa de la reunión. Muchas gracias. Tim, por favor.
Thank you, Marcelo. The United States welcomes this, the first global meeting of the national focal points for the Montevideo Program for the Development of Environmental Law. Distinguished participants, please allow me to join Marcelo in thanking you for electing me as co-chair. I echo Marcelo's sentiment that it is a great honor, and I also thank the Secretariat for supporting this meeting. I also wish to amplify Marcelo's expression of sympathy to all who have been impacted by the global pandemic. Distinguished participants, the Montevideo Program 5, which was described well by my co-chair, has put before us a decade of action to advance the development and implementation of environmental rule of law. The continuing and challenging COVID-19 pandemic has delayed us, but it has not stopped us. This online session of the first global meeting of the National Focal Points is our first opportunity under the program to give guidance on what should be the initial priority for implementation, to designate a steering committee for implementation, and to adopt its modalities of work. In an online session, this will be challenging. But like my distinguished co-chair, I am committed to doing everything I can to help guide us through this agenda. Distinguished participants, I would like to take this opportunity to extend a special message of thanks to the numerous stakeholders who are participating in this session. We have representatives from UN entities, secretariats of multilateral environmental agreements, IGOs, CSOs, academics, and others. One of the particularly exciting aspects of the Montevideo Program 5 was that member states invited partnership in implementation in the program. This is not just a program for UNEP. This is a program that can bring together a broad spectrum of partners that have a stake in advancing environmental rule of law. In an ideal world, this first global meeting would have allowed a celebration and exploration of possible partnerships. Unfortunately, we do not have time or even ability to do this properly in a virtual setting. This will therefore have to wait until when we resume the in-person session in 2022, when we will have time and space to learn from each other, build networks and partnerships for implementation, and discuss views on emerging issues in environmental law.
Lamentablemente creo que hemos tenido un inconveniente. Tim, welcome again.
Welcome, thank you. I
was you want to finish your speech?
Yes, I think I was just noting that with regret that we do not have the time at the outset for observers to make significant interventions in this meeting, and that we'll have to reserve that for the in-person meeting. That said, we encourage you to send the Secretariat your written statements when they can't be provided orally. And on behalf of Marcelo and me, please rest assured that more opportunity for oral interventions will be given to you when we have the resumed in-person session next year. Distinguished participants, I now turn the floor back to Marcelo.
Muchas gracias, Tim. Distinguidos participantes, los invito ahora a pasar al punto 2B de nuestra agenda, adopción de la agenda, y por eso los remito al documento UNEP/MTV5/GNFP.1/ que contiene la agenda provisional. ¿Desearían ustedes adoptar la agenda tal como ha sido propuesta? No veo objeciones. En ese caso, damos por adoptada la agenda. De acuerdo con ello, cedo nuevamente la palabra al co-chair. Tim, por favor.
Distinguished participants, may we please now turn to agenda item 2C, organization of work. Distinguished participants, the proposed organization of work for the first global meeting is outlined in Annex 1 to the annotated provisional agenda, being document UNEP/LAW/MTV5/GNFP.1/1/ADD.1. In consultation with my co-chair and the Secretariat, we would like to propose 2 additional suggestions on how to support the delivery of the agenda and the organization of work. First, regarding agenda item 6A, designation of the steering committee for implementation, we would like to provide space for national focal points to discuss the nominations for the steering committee for implementation. Thus, the Secretariat will arrange for informal meetings for national focal points to discuss the designation of the steering committee for implementation in breakout rooms on June 3, 2021. The Secretariat will advise by email on the time and connection details. Second, regarding agenda item 6B, modalities of work for the steering committee for implementation, the co-chairs would like to propose to participants that they present any comments or textual amendments in writing to the Secretariat before we consider this agenda item on Friday, the 4th of June. Comments are kindly requested to be given by the end of tomorrow, June 3, enabling the Secretariat to circulate a revised document on Friday morning, Nairobi time. Comments can be sent to the Secretariat at unep-montevideo@unep.org. And I'd ask that the Secretariat put that email address in the chat. May I ask whether the organization of work, taking into consideration these 2 suggestions, can be adopted? Once again, seeing no objections, it is so agreed. I now hand the floor back to my co-chair. Marcelo.
Gracias, Tim. Distinguidos participantes, pasamos ahora al tema 3 del programa, Centros de Coordinación Nacionales. Les remito entonces al documento UNEP/lo/MTV5/GNFP.1/3 e invito a la Secretaría a que presente la información actualizada sobre la situación de las nominaciones a coordinadores nacionales. Olivia.
Thank you, Co-Chair. On behalf of the Secretariat, I am pleased to present the report entitled National Focal Points. Note by the Secretariat, reference UNEP/ENV.law/MTV5/GNFP.1-3. Distinguished participants, as outlined in the document, Resolution 420 of the United Nations Environment Assembly invited member states that had not yet already done so to designate national focal points for the Montevideo program. This invitation was further to Resolution 2/19, which invited member states to designate national focal points for the purposes of exchanging information and building capacities. National focal points are key actors working with UNEP in the implementation of the program. To ensure effective collaboration and guidance from national focal points, the Secretariat maintains a current list of the program's national focal points. As of March 25th, 2021, the Secretariat received 130 designations of national focal points. Of these 130 designations, 50 are women and 80 are men. The full list of member states which have designated national focal points as of March 25th, which also includes the national focal point's name, gender, organization, and title, is included in Annex 1 of the document. Annex 2 demonstrates tables of the United Nations regional groups and lists which member states have designated national focal points and which have not. Since March 25th, the Secretariat has received additional designations that are not reflected in this report. We are happy to report that 6 additional designations for national focal points have been received from Belarus, Israel, Kazakhstan, Monaco, Romania, and Uzbekistan. An up-to-date list of all national focal points is maintained on the UNEP Law and Environment Assistance Platform, which is available at www.leap.unep.org. Distinguished participants, if there are any errors or omissions in this list, or if any information on this list needs to be updated, please contact the Secretariat at unep/Montevideo@un.org. Thank you, Co-Chair.
Muchas gracias a la Secretaría. Distinguidos participantes, para preservar nuestro valioso y muy limitado tiempo, propongo respetuosamente que si alguna delegación tuviera actualizaciones o correcciones al documento informado por la Secretaría, le ruego que lo comunique por vía escrita a la Secretaría, a los efectos de no hacer necesario el uso de la palabra e intervenir en este momento. En consecuencia, doy nuevamente el uso de la palabra a el co-chair. Tim, por favor.
Thank you once again, Marcelo. Let me make a slight correction to my earlier statement about the breakout groups for regional meetings. There will be 2 of those that will be held later today in order to facilitate them being completed by the end of tomorrow. Those are for WEOG and for the Africa group. Now, distinguished participants, may we now turn to agenda item 4, implementation of the 5th program for the development and periodic review of environmental law. We will begin with agenda item 4A, status of implementation, activities, and funding. Distinguished participants, you will recall that paragraph 6A10 of Montevideo Program 5 requires the Secretariat to report on the implementation, activities, and funding of the program on a biannual basis. Therefore, may I now request the Secretariat to present its report on the status of implementation, activities, and funding of the program as contained in document UNEP/LAW/MTV5/GNFP.1/2. The Secretariat, you have the floor.
Thank you, Co-Chair. Distinguished participants, on behalf of the Secretariat, I'm pleased to present the Secretariat's report as introduced by Tim, our Co-Chair. Regarding the status of implementation and activities, the program started on 1 January 2020 and will conclude on 31 December 2029. The report notes that implementation of Montevideo Program 5 has been significantly delayed due to the continuing COVID-19 pandemic. The first global meeting of national focal points, which was expected to identify priority areas of implementation for the program and take the necessary institutional decisions to facilitate the implementation of substantive activities,
was originally scheduled to be held in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, from 23 to 25 March 2020. The report notes that the meeting was postponed twice due to the continuing COVID-19 pandemic and has now been organized as a two-segment meeting, the first online, the second an in-person meeting when viable. The report notes that despite these delays, while substantive activities under the program have not yet begun, UNEP has undertaken a series of preparatory activities to ensure that the program is placed to begin effective implementation following the first global meeting. As outlined in the report, these activities include A, the development of the UNEP Law and Environment Assistance Platform, on which we are honoured to launch today and which my colleague will present shortly. B, development of targeted communication products to help build awareness and understanding of the program. C, support to member states to increase the number of designated national focal points. D, outreach to proposed partners of the program, to which we'll say more under the agenda item on this. And E, seeking strategic alignment between the program with UNEP's program of work and budget for the biennium 2022-2023 and the medium-term strategy for the period 2022-2025. At this juncture, co-chairs, with your permission, please allow me to turn the floor over to my colleague, Marina, who will present the UNEP Law and Environment Assistance Platform.
The UNEP launches today the Law Environment Assistance Platform, or LEAP. UNEP LEAP is the digital backbone of the 5th Montevideo program for the development and periodic review of environmental law. The platform will assess the program's implementation and the sharing of information on environmental rule of law. You can visit the platform at leap.unep.org, and I will quickly highlight today the key features. The homepage displays relevant environmental law and Montevideo Program 5's updates and news. There is also a calendar with more information about relevant meetings, including the first global meeting of national focal points. Here you can find the meeting documentation and other important details. Additionally, the About section provides detailed information about the Montevideo Program 5, including the official program translated into the 6 UN official languages, the program's brochure, and the fact sheet for national focal points. More information about partnerships and how to become a partner of the program can be found under Partners and Synergies. This includes a form to register your interest in becoming a partner of the program. Coming back to the main page, I'd like to highlight that LEAP has 3 main sections: a technical assistance section, a knowledge base, and a country profile section. The technical assistance section consists of a clearinghouse mechanism through which national focal points, representatives of state governments, UN country teams, and other stakeholders will be able to submit technical assistance requests under the program. The platform will help the Secretariat map these requests and follow up on them. It has a form through which national focal points and stakeholders are able to submit such requests. If preferred, you can download an offline version of the form and email it to unep/montevideo@un.org, together with supporting documents. This section also includes an activity tracker with more information about ongoing and completed projects, as you can see here is an example. National focal points and other stakeholders will be able to submit requests for technical assistance through LEAP immediately following this meeting. Besides that, LEAP has a knowledge base section with environmental law guidance products and models, publications and reports, legislation and case law, toolkits, policy briefs, e-learning courses, partner tools, and resources. As of now, the platform has over 18,000 resources, including UNEP flagship publications. This will be constantly updated throughout the years to come. Last but not least, we have a country profile section that congregates the information in the knowledge base section for a country. For example, if we go to Kenya, we'll see more information about its national focal points, submitted assistance requests, case studies, and so on. We invite you to explore LEAP and broadly share it with your networks. In the months to come, the Secretariat will be hosting information sessions, and more information about them will be provided in due course. Lastly, do not hesitate to share with us any questions or suggestions through the dedicated contact form on LEAP. Thank you so much. With the permission of the co-chairs, I turn the floor back to my colleague Andrew Rain to further present on the status of implementation, activities, and funding. Over to you, Andy.
Thank you very much, Marina. Distinguished participants, concerning the status of funding, the report notes that there is currently no dedicated funding available to the Secretariat to implement the program. Instead, UNEP has been undertaking its work associated with the program using resources allocated to the UNEP Law Division, which comprise allocations from the Environment Fund of UNEP and extra budgetary resources from bilateral donors for earmarked purposes. The report notes further it will be not possible to provide an informed estimate of funding needs for activities under Montevideo Programme 5 until national focal points are able, at their first global meeting, to identify the priority areas for the implementation of the programme. As noted in the report, the Secretariat has contacted potential donors, but to date no firm commitments have been obtained. Nevertheless, the Secretariat encourages and welcomes any voluntary contributions from governments, the private sector, foundations, and any other organizations. Furthermore, the Secretariat will examine the funding position of the program in July this year and, if necessary, consider establishing a trust fund for the management of designated funds as appropriate following relevant decisions of the UN Environment Assembly. Thank you. I now pass back to the co-chair.
Thank you, Andy and Marina, on behalf of the Secretariat. At this point, I would like to open the floor for any pressing comments or observations on the Secretariat's report. We will, of course, begin with political groups, regional group, and then move to countries and UN entities and MEA secretariats and so forth. Also, before I open the floor for the first interventions, please also, for those of you who would like to submit it in writing rather than taking up time during the meeting to speak, the Secretariat will welcome those comments in a written form. Now may I ask the Secretariat to help me identify any who have raised their hands and identified themselves as speaking on behalf of a political or regional group.
Thank you, Co-Chair. There are no hands raised.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretariat. And thank you all participants for understanding the time constraints of this meeting. Again, anyone who wants to submit comments, please do so to the Secretariat. I now turn the floor back over to my co-chair, Marcelo.
Gracias, Tim. Distinguidos participantes, pasemos entonces ahora al ítem 4B de nuestra agenda. áreas prioritarias para la implementación del programa. Ustedes recordarán que el párrafo 6b1 del programa de Montevideo 5 asigna a la reunión de los coordinadores nacionales la tarea de identificar las áreas prioritarias para la implementación del propio programa. Para esta sesión en línea se ha pedido a los centros de coordinación nacional que determinen un número limitado de esferas prioritarias y viables para la ejecución a fin de que puedan iniciarse actividades sustantivas del programa lo más pronto posible. No es en vano recalcar una vez más que no queremos de ninguna manera limitar el diálogo y la consideración en esta reunión sobre lo que debería ser el conjunto de las áreas prioritarias para la aplicación del programa. Dicho esto, sin embargo, debemos recordar respetuosamente a todos los participantes que, como se indicara en las anotaciones al programa provisional, la oportunidad de hacerlo será en la reanudación de nuestro periodo de sesiones presenciales en el año 2022. En este momento, entonces, las delegaciones dispondrán del tiempo y el espacio adecuados para examinar, negociar y acordar adecuadamente las esferas prioritarias de aplicación del programa en lo sucesivo. Nuestra propuesta y nuestra petición como copresidentes es que tratemos de centrar nuestros debates en esta reunión en lo que deberían ser dos esferas prioritarias iniciales para la aplicación que entraría en vigor hasta que el periodo de sesiones presencial de esta primera reunión pueda celebrarse el año próximo y que podrían ser examinados por el Comité Permanente de Aplicación, según fuera el caso. Esperamos entonces que sobre estas bases podamos llegar a un consenso al respecto. Si las delegaciones quisieran hacer aportaciones sobre lo que debería ser el conjunto completo y más amplio de esferas prioritarias de aplicación del programa, nuestra propuesta sería que los participantes las enviaran por escrito a la Secretaría y que la Secretaría recogiera esas comunicaciones escritas en el informe de nuestra reunión. Se examinarán a fondo, entonces, trataremos de hacer el examen en esta sesión virtual de estas dos áreas prioritarias. Cedo para ello la palabra a la Secretaría. Arnold, por favor.
Thank you, Co-Chair. On behalf of the Secretariat, I am pleased to present the report entitled Priority Areas for Implementation, with the document reference UNEP/Environmental Law/Montevideo 5/GNFP.1/4. Distinguished participants, as noted in the report, paragraph 6b of the Montevideo Program 5 tasks national focal points to identify priority areas for the implementation of the program. These priority areas help inform the strategic direction and prioritization of activities under the program, working in collaboration with the Steering Committee for Implementation. Now, the document prepared by the Secretariat sets out 8 such possible priority areas for implementation. These proposed areas have been informed by a global survey of national focal points undertaken in January 2021. as well as the key thematic focal areas identified by member states in UNEP's new medium-term strategy for the period 2022 to 2025, as adopted by the UNEA at its 5th session in February 2021. They all fall into 3 thematic priority areas: climate change, biodiversity, and pollution. Those thematic priority areas are supplemented by 5 cross-cutting and strategic activity priority areas, namely environmental crime and liability, information and data exchange and awareness raising of environmental law, public participation, access to information and access to justice in environmental matters, the mutually reinforcing relationship between environmental law and the 3 pillars of the Charter of the United Nations, and education and training on environmental law. The proposed areas in the report cover in principle the entire duration of the Montevideo Program 5, concluding on 31st December 2029. Subject to any other guidance from national focal points, these priority areas for implementation, as the co-chair has already alluded to, would be reviewed and amended as necessary at each of the biennial or other global meetings of the national focal points. During implementation, prioritization and details of each priority area would also be discussed and finalized in consultation with the steering committee for implementation. As outlined in the report, and again as already highlighted by the co-chair, the task for this online session, however, is for national focal points to provide guidance on a limited number of focused and feasible initial priority areas for implementation, which will be reviewed at the resumed in-person segment of the meeting. Based on the results of the survey, the report has identified 1 such area for consideration by national focal points, being legal responses to address air pollution crisis. This is a subset, of course, of the broader pollution priority identified for the entire duration of the program. Thank you very much, Co-Chair.
Gracias, Arnold. Gracias a la Secretaría. En este momento, entonces, quisiera abrir la sala para que se haga uso de la palabra con respecto a las áreas prioritarias para la implementación y el documento presentado por la Secretaría. Lo haré dando prioridad a los grupos políticos y regionales, luego a los coordinadores nacionales por país, entidades de las Naciones Unidas, secretarías y observadores. Dejo entonces la oportunidad para quien quiera solicitar el uso de la palabra sobre este aspecto. Estamos muy bien de tiempo en el cronograma fijado para nuestra sesión, de manera que tenemos oportunidad de escuchar intervenciones de cualquiera de los participantes. Secretaría, alguno de los participantes manifiesta en el chat no tener disponible la función Raise the Hand. ¿Podrían ustedes chequear ese aspecto o darnos alguna ayuda?
Co-chair, if I may, on behalf of the Secretariat. Just to invite delegations that do not have the green hand, which we will look into immediately, because our understanding is that every delegate link is provided with the green hand function. If, for whatever reason, you do not see the green hand when you are logged in as a delegate, then we invite you to please register your interest to speak in the event chat box. Thank you. Back to you, Mr. Co-Chair. And if it would be helpful, we would be happy to read out the list of speakers who have already raised their hands.
Please.
Dear co-chairs, with your permission, the following delegates asked for the floor. Rob Wing, on behalf of United States. Jibrila Camara, on behalf of Sierra Leone. Alejandra, on behalf of Colombia. And Kate Wilson, on behalf of St. Lucia. Thank you, co-chair.
Muchas gracias, Secretaría. En ese caso, cedo la palabra a Rob Wing, de los Estados Unidos. Señor.
Good morning. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Wing. I'm a delegate from the United States. Thank you to the co-chairs. Thank you to the Secretariat. Thank you, Secretariat, for the paper on potential priority areas. And thank you for the suggestion for the first priority area to get started on right away. Building on UNEP's success of targeted interventions and model law on lead paint, the United States supports the designation of legal responses to address the air pollution crisis as a first priority area to implement under Montevideo 5. Our focus is on strengthening the national and subnational legal frameworks that regulate air pollution. We are eager to share the experiences and expertise of the United States in regulating air pollution, especially the positive outcomes our legislation has brought. We also propose deferring detailed discussion of the other potential priority areas in the document until the in-person session. And thank you for making that suggestion. Until then, we ask the Secretary to consider accepting written comments on the priority areas document. Thank you very much.
Dear co-chair, could you please repeat?
Disculpas,
there is an issue with translation. Thank you.
Mi micrófono. Voy a repetir entonces. Agradezco las palabras del representante de los Estados Unidos. Cedo la palabra a la representante de Sierra Leona, señora Camara. Tiene usted el uso de la palabra.
Everyone, I am Jibrila Camara from Sierra Leone, and with me in the delegation list, I have Justice Eko Robert, who is representing the judiciary of Sierra Leone. Over the years, we have built some synergies between environmental institutions and the judiciary of Sierra Leone in the implementation of environmental rule of law. I want to thank the Secretariat for a very good work in the midst of COVID-19, which has affected our lives generally, and they have gone ahead to do the preparatory work in the implementation of the Montevideo program. We also want to adopt the proposal on the priority areas on air pollution. Sierra Leone, like any other African country, is facing very serious challenges of air pollution. So when the survey was sent on the priority areas, we decided that we need to adopt and accept that air pollution has to be addressed immediately. If we fail to address air pollution, then the health of children, the health of women would be very, very, very much in difficult situation in Africa. So we accept and adopt what the Secretariat has done in terms of accepting the National Focal Points proposal on air pollution as a priority area. And we also agree with the United States of America in terms of addressing air pollution. And we're looking particularly for technical supports from the bigger nations who have developed, for example, air pollution law. We don't have any in Sierra Leone. I assume other African countries don't have air pollution legislation. So we look forward to benefiting a lot from these bigger nations and also from the Secretariat in terms of developing air pollution legislation. Thank you.
Gracias, Sierra Leona. Toca el turno de cederle la palabra a la representante de Colombia. Colombia, tiene usted la palabra. Alejandra de Colombia, ¿había pedido usted la palabra? No escucho que tengamos respuesta de Colombia. En ese caso pasaríamos al próximo, la próxima solicitud de intervención de Santa Lucía. Kate Wilson. Kate, ¿tiene la palabra?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Can you hear me? I see you nodding.
Sí.
Yes. St. Lucia, first and foremost, let me bring you warm greetings from the Department of Sustainable Development, of which I sit as the legal officer and the national focal point for the Montevideo program. St. Lucia welcomes the priority areas, and in particular, the one that was chosen as the initial priority area, which is air pollution. And we look forward to work being done in that area. We know that our Bureau of Standards, the St. Lucia Bureau of Standards, was working on a series of environmental standards, which will be soon processed, and it includes air pollution. So we are looking forward to guidelines from Montevideo, as well as what will be done nationally. We want to thank the Secretariat for the tremendous work that has been done so far. We've seen what has been done on the platform, the LEAP platform. We've also seen the clearinghouse with the amount of information that is there, which is very good for delegates and member states. And we also want to commend them on how efficient they have been in terms of keeping us informed, the national focal points, on the progress of the work of the Montevideo program, particularly since the COVID pandemic, and we have not been able to meet until now. We want to thank the nominations that were made for Mr. Marcello Cousilas to continue in his position as co-chair. We want to welcome the co-chair from the developed country, as well as the other nominations, which we will deal with, I'm sure, later during the course of the meeting. So St. Lucia welcomes the work done so far and look forward to working with everyone on this very important program. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Muchas gracias, Santa Lucía. Gracias, Kate. Cedo la palabra al representante de Camerún. Señor o señora Kenfak, por favor.
Monsieur Kenfak. Oui. Merci, Monsieur le Président, de me donner la parole. Je suis très heureux. Mon pays se réjouit que les activités du programme de Montevideo soient relancées aujourd'hui. Nous sommes très heureux. Nous sommes heureux de voir qu'une équipe a été désignée pour conduire les travaux. Mon pays vous souhaite un plein succès dans la conduite de ces travaux. Nous serons toujours heureux d'être auprès de vous pour accompagner la réalisation des activités dans le cadre de ce programme de Montevideo 5. Nous adressons également nos félicitations au secrétariat pour le travail qui a été abattu relativement à ces activités prioritaires. Nous sommes heureux de voir qu'on met l'accent sur le renforcement des cadres juridiques, c'est-à-dire les cadres législatifs et réglementaires. On met l'accent également sur le renforcement des dispositifs de mise en œuvre. On met l'accent sur la formation, le renforcement des capacités. Nous pensons qu'avec des priorités comme celle-là, on peut réaliser de façon efficace les objectifs du programme de Montevideo. Donc, en conclusion, nous dirons que nous serons toujours auprès de vous pour accompagner la réalisation de ces activités, pour faire en sorte que le programme de Montevideo soit un succès. Merci.
Merci beaucoup, monsieur. No pudimos verlo, pero pude reconocer su voz. Gracias por su intervención. Le damos la palabra a la representante de Finlandia, señora Charlotte.
Okay, I hope you can hear me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Firstly, I want to thank the Secretariat for convening this meeting and for its efforts to prepare the implementation of the new program under these very challenging circumstances. I want to thank the co-chairs as well for your work. I will keep my statement brief. Finland is very happy to support the proposed initial priority area of legal responses to address the air pollution crisis. We highly appreciate the work undertaken by the Secretariat or Legal Division in this area so far, and we consider that the proposed actions complement very well other ongoing initiatives to tackle air pollution, such as the Forum for International Cooperation on Air Pollution developed under the UNECE Convention on long-range transboundary air pollution. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Gracias, agradecemos a la representante de Finlandia y cedo la palabra al representante de Congo. Tiene usted la palabra.
Merveilleux qui sont en train d'accomplir. En ce qui concerne les documents relatifs aux domaines prioritaires, la République du Congo ne ménagera aucun effort pour atteindre les objectifs liés à la pollution atmosphérique. Et nous tenons aussi à dire que ce serait très important de mettre un accent au niveau national. En ce qui concerne, par exemple, la République du Congo, nous n'avons pratiquement aucun document en ce qui concerne la pollution atmosphérique. Donc, travailler dans ce sens, dans ce domaine, sera un plaisir pour nous. C'est comme j'ai su le dire tout à l'heure, que la République du Congo ne ménagera aucun effort parce que cela y va de la santé humaine. À cela, j'aimerais aussi dire au nom de mon pays qu'avec joie, nous allons travailler pour faire aboutir ce qu'il faut en ce qui concerne les droits environnementaux, tout cela pour faire avancer la crise environnementale. Merci, je vous remercie. J'en ai terminé.
Muchas gracias, Congo. Cedo la palabra al representante de Palestina, Madame Murad.
شكرا سيدي الرئيس. أنا مراد مدني ممثل دولة فلسطين. أود في البداية أن أشكر الأمانة على هذا الجهد الرائع في تنظيم هذا الاجتماع بالغ الأهمية. نحن كنقاط اتصال ممتنون لهذا التواصل الجيد من قبل في إطار هذا البرنامج. نود التأكيد على ما جاء في وثيقة المجالات ذات الأولوية، وهي مجالات غاية في الأهمية، ونأمل فعلا أن نقوم بتحقيقها في إطار برنامج مونتفيديو الخامس. دولة فلسطين أيضا ترغب في التركيز على مجالات تلوث الهواء، خاصة أننا في فلسطين نرغب في تعزيز النظام القانوني الخاص بجودة الهواء ومنع التلوث. وهنا أيضا نقترح أن يأخذ هذا الموضوع بعدا إقليميا أيضا، ونحن نرغب في تقاسم الخبرات المتوفرة لإداء الدول الأخرى. بالإضافة إلى ذلك نؤكد على أهمية المنصة الخاصة بالمساعدة القانونية، ونأمل أن تكون أداة فعالة في تطوير القانون البيئي وتعزيز تنفيذه. أتمنى لكم سيدي الرئيس وللأمانة العامة اجتماعا موفقا، وأن نحقق الأهداف المنشودة مع نهاية هذا الاجتماع. شكرا لكم.
Gracias, Palestina. Gracias, señor Madami. Un gusto reencontrarlo también. Toca el turno al representante de Brasil, Arthur Naylor. Tiene la palabra.
Can you hear me? Okay. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank the Secretariat for convening this meeting. I would also like to thank and congratulate our two co-chairs, Marcelo and Tim. Brazil is happy to take part in this first global meeting of national focal points for the 5 Montevideo program. As you all know, originally this meeting was scheduled to take place in Rio de Janeiro in 2019. Hopefully we'll have another opportunity to meet face-to-face in Rio in the future. Brazil attaches great importance to environmental law as an indispensable instrument to foster the implementation of the environmental dimension of sustainable development. We are of the view that only through robust institutions, sound legal frameworks, and efficient law enforcement is it possible to ensure that the commitments we make both at the national and at the international level are effectively implemented. We have a very large agenda before us and little time to discuss it in detail at this virtual segment. Moreover, online meetings, by their very nature, are not the most appropriate occasions to proceed with thorough review of documents and complex negotiations. Therefore, Brazil believes that more substantive matters should be left to be discussed and decided upon at the face-to-face meeting. Regarding priority areas for implementation, Brazil regrets the lack of reference to environmental financing among the strategic areas to be considered during the working period of Montevideo 5. Promoting intergovernmental cooperation to implement international law provisions on environmental financing can be a very effective way, especially for developing countries, to meet their environmental commitments and strengthen the environmental rule of law. We hope the list of priorities is amended to include this most important and relevant aspect. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Brasil. Gracias, Arthur. No tengo identificadas nuevas solicitudes, pero quisiera hacer mención a algunas manifestaciones que surgen a través del chat y destacar la conveniencia de que los comentarios de ustedes se realicen solicitando la palabra y haciendo uso de la misma en esta oportunidad, o se remitan por escrito a la Secretaría, dado que no podemos incorporar al informe de la reunión las manifestaciones exclusivamente realizadas a través del chat. De manera que los invito a quienes quisieran hacer uso de la palabra que levanten la mano o hagan comentarios en forma escrita. Voy a dar el turno ahora a Colombia. Marjorie González tiene la palabra.
Señor presidente, colegas, buenos días. Como parte de la delegación de Colombia y por ser la primera vez que pedimos la palabra, en primer lugar quiero agradecer el trabajo de la Secretaría y los cofacilitadores del proceso, especialmente con el diseño y envío de la encuesta a principios de este año, así como el documento de trabajo sobre áreas prioritarias. Como Colombia, acogemos con beneplácito la propuesta de área prioritaria sobre polución del aire, pues está alineada con nuestra agenda ambiental, y nos unimos a la propuesta de continuar las discusiones para identificar la segunda área prioritaria. En estas discusiones para Colombia será crucial que se puedan tener muy presentes los temas de cambio climático y biodiversidad, los cuales son prioridades para nuestro país. Agradezco, señor presidente.
Muchas gracias, Colombia, un gusto. Toca el turno entonces a la representante de Argentina, María Antonella Parodi, tiene la palabra.
¿Me escuchan? Muchas gracias, doctor Cousillas. Muy buenos días, muy buenas tardes y muy buenas noches a todos los representantes de las delegaciones participantes y desde ya a las partes observadoras. La delegación de la República Argentina desea iniciar esta intervención agradeciendo a la Secretaría por la organización y la celebración de la primera reunión de puntos focales, así como por el trabajo incansable y constructivo en las valiosas iniciativas desplegadas hasta el momento para avanzar en la implementación del 5º programa de Montevideo para el desarrollo y el examen periódico del derecho ambiental. Esta reunión, esta primera en realidad reunión, llega en un momento muy oportuno, ya que la Argentina considera que la vía más efectiva e idónea para promover el desarrollo internacional del derecho ambiental es a través de la cooperación de los Estados, e incluso con partes terceras, en el reconocimiento de que el principal desafío por delante es la implementación a nivel nacional, en particular en lo que respecta a la generación de marcos jurídicos sólidos, de capacidades institucionales y de estándares y mandatos precisos en contextos de voluntades políticas firmes. Desde ya me gustaría felicitar tanto al señor Tim Epton como al doctor Cousillas por designación y les deseamos los mejores augurios para los próximos días de intercambios. Ahora bien, puntualmente con relación al documento sobre el ítem 4B, queremos agradecer a la Secretaría por su elaboración. Consideramos que este documento constituye una buena base para comenzar las próximas discusiones. En términos generales, la Argentina apoya las 8 áreas prioritarias designadas y puntualmente identificadas por la Secretaría a partir de las encuestas realizadas. Sobre la esfera prioritaria número 1, apoyamos, digamos, su comienzo en las discusiones y desde ya agradecemos al distinguido delegado de los Estados Unidos por ofrecer el intercambio en, digamos, las buenas prácticas que han implementado a nivel nacional para compartirlas con todas las partes. Sin perjuicio de ello, también nos gustaría mencionar que para la Argentina también es importante proceder a las priorizaciones de la esfera 2, respuestas legales para combatir el cambio climático. En ese sentido, nosotros también estamos dispuestos a compartir nuestras prácticas. De hecho, la Argentina, a modo de ejemplo, en el año 2019 ha aprobado la Ley de Presupuestos Mínimos de Mitigación y Adaptación al Cambio Climático Global. Esta ha sido una ley muy importante para nosotros, que además va acompañada con una estructura institucional que desde ya estaremos compartiendo con todas las partes a través de la plataforma. También nos gustaría remarcar la importancia que tiene para la Argentina la esfera prioritaria número 3, respuestas legales para combatir la crisis de la biodiversidad. Y por último, si bien desde ya apoyamos la propuesta de trabajo realizada por el doctor Cousillas, estaremos enviando comentarios generales a las 8 esferas identificadas por el documento. Muchas gracias y los mejores éxitos para los próximos días.
Gracias, Argentina. Gracias, Antonella. Cedo la palabra a la representante de Kenia. Annie, do you have the floor?
Thank you. Thank you very much. I hope I can be heard. Kenya welcomes the appointment of our 2 co-chairs and the rapporteur and registered its commitment and support in working with you. Kenya also welcomes the effort of the Secretariat in organizing this meeting in the midst of the current constraint occasioned by the COVID pandemic. We appreciate as a country the effort also by the UN Secretariat in making our work easier. As a country, Kenya supports the listed priority areas and wishes to cite 2 priority areas as the air pollution crisis and sustainable consumption and production. We look forward as a country to a fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much.
Gracias, Kenia. Tengo identificado la solicitud de Nigeria, Namibia y la Oficina de las Naciones Unidas sobre las Drogas y los Crímenes. Voy a cederle la palabra entonces al representante de Nigeria, Ibrahim Musa Mohamed. Tiene usted la palabra.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Sí, yes, we can hear you.
Hello? Hello?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
yes. Don't worry, we can hear you.
Hello?
We can hear you, yes. Nigeria, please continue. Nigeria nos dice a través del chat. Yes, yes, we can hear you, please.
Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
Good afternoon. My name is Ibrahim Musa Mohammed from Nigeria. Nigeria is very glad to be added into the Montevideo Program 5, the global environment platform for the development and implementation of environmental law. We're equally very delighted that one of the key priority area for the Montevideo program is on air quality. Nigeria as a country has an air quality regulation that tend to regulate the air quality in Nigeria. And added to the air quality regulation, we also have 2 basic programs that are geared towards enhancing our environment, providing a cleaner and healthier environment. These programs have to do with the National Vehicular Emission Program and also the National Generator Emission Program. These 2 programs are trying to standardize both vehicular emissions from motor vehicles and also emission from generating sets. So it is of great importance and happiness that the Montevideo program first priority area has to do with air quality. And so it gladdens our hearts, and we're looking forward to partnering with the Montevideo Secretariat and Nigeria as a country to strengthen this program that we have back home on air quality. Thank you very much.
Marcelo, are you muted?
Luisa Arauz, de Panamá, tiene la palabra.
¿Escuchar bien?
Sí, te escuchamos.
Muchas gracias, buenos días a todos desde Panamá y muchas gracias a la Secretaría, primero que todo, por la excelente organización de este evento y de parte de la República de Panamá quisiéramos manifestar que estamos de acuerdo con la escogencia de las áreas prioritarias señaladas en el documento de trabajo. Sin duda alguna, la escogencia de la contaminación atmosférica como la principal área prioritaria dentro del programa de Montevideo refleja una de las condiciones que agravan la actual pandemia por el COVID-19, que deben ser atendidas por el derecho ambiental y fortalecido el manejo y respuesta a la contaminación atmosférica que sin duda alguna ha influido negativamente en muchos países del mundo para agravar las consecuencias de esta enfermedad. También consideramos que la escogencia como segunda esfera prioritaria de la biodiversidad también es muy importante, particularmente para los países latinoamericanos como el nuestro, en donde se encuentra gran parte del repositorio de biodiversidad del mundo, pero que sin duda alguna requiere de un mayor fortalecimiento a nivel institucional e integral, ya que muchas veces en nuestros marcos jurídicos nacionales la protección de la biodiversidad se encuentra desperdigada entre muchas normativas. Causando entonces una difícil implementación y conservación efectiva de la biodiversidad. Por ello, Panamá está de acuerdo con estas áreas prioritarias e instamos a continuar este gran trabajo que ha realizado la Secretaría en conjunto con los co-chairs y estamos muy contentos de contribuir al fortalecimiento del derecho ambiental desde nuestra perspectiva y nuestra experiencia. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Panamá. Gracias, Luisa. Le doy la palabra ahora sí a Namibia. Betty Schroeder, you have the floor.
I did not request for the floor yet, Mr. Chairman. I will indicate when I request for the floor. My apologies if I've lifted my hand.
Muchas gracias. Namibia, disculpe, teníamos ese registro anterior y no habíamos podido localizarla por la identificación en pantalla. En ese caso, continuamos con la lista de solicitudes y le cedo la palabra a Jordania. Jordania, tiene usted la palabra. Mohamed.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. هل تسمعني؟ شكرا سيد الرئيس وشكرا للأمانة العامة لبرنامج مونتيفيديو لإتاحة هذا الاجتماع لضباط الارتباط للبرنامج. نشكركم على كل الترتيبات الفنية والإدارية، ونشكر وحدة الشؤون القانونية في البرنامج لإعداد الأولويات للبرنامج. نحن بالأردن خطونا خطوات جيدة في موضوع إدارة الكيماويات والنفايات، وأصدرنا تشريعات بهذا الخصوص، ونحن نسير الآن على برنامج لموضوع التغير المناخي من خلال خفض الانبعاثات من خلال البرامج والمشاريع. ونشكر أيضا الأمانة العامة والبرنامج على الموقع السايت الإتاح فيه تبادل المعلومات والخبرات، وإحنا الأردن سوف نستفيد من هذه المعلومات ومن خلال الاتفاقيات الدولية التي سوف تتيح لنا أخذ الخبرات من الدول الأخرى وعكسها على تشريعاتنا المحلية. أيضا بالأردن نحن ندعم هذه الأولويات للبرنامج وخاصة في موضوع انبعاثات الهواء، والأردن يصب خطوات جيدة على تحقيق مزيد من البرامج والأنشطة التي تساعد في خفض هذه الانبعاثات. شكرا سيد الرئيس مرة أخرى، شكرا للأمانة، نشكركم على هذا الجهد الرائع الذي تبذلونه ونتمنى لكم مزيدا من التقدم والنجاح ومتمنين لكم حياة سعيدة. شكرا.
Muchas gracias, Jordania. Tengo en la lista de oradores a Canadá. Alain Tellier tiene la palabra.
Thank you. I think people can see and hear me now. Thank you very much, Mr. Co-Chair. Congratulations for your elections, and thank you for the organizers to allowing this meeting to happen. And apologies, I arrived late for technical reasons, and to be clear, those technical reasons were entirely my fault and not that of the organizers. But I'm just hoping not to speak out of term when I'm addressing the topic now. So the implementation program, just to confirm that Canada is in general agreement with the priority areas that we see in the document, and we're grateful for it. We understand that there will be an opportunity maybe to discuss the specifics of the sub-items when we can meet at a later time. We look forward to it. We might have a couple of questions on the respective formulations and how they relate, the various sub-paragraphs. But I understand this is not the time to go into that level of detail. In relation to the initial priority area suggested in the document, we're ready to go along with it. Obviously, air pollution is a very important matter to tackle. We would also nevertheless wish to highlight the importance we see in many of those areas. All of those areas are important, but one of the area that really takes our attention is that of biodiversity, having in mind that there are important discussions ongoing, in particular on the post-2020 framework, and that we hope to see a role here to be played in supporting the implementation of that important program. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Canadá. Gracias, Alain. Le toca el turno al representante de Kuwait, Dr. Fatema. Usted tiene la palabra.
Can you hear me?
Yes, clear.
Great. Well, Kuwait is very happy to take part in this meeting. We believe that implementing the rule of law with regard to all the environmental issues is very important, and it's a very challenging matter. Therefore, Kuwait is willing to cooperate and to exchange information and expertise with you in order to address all the environmental challenges our planet is facing today. Thank you very much. شكرا جزيلا.
Muchas gracias, doctora. En nombre de Kuwait, le cedo la palabra al representante de Zambia, Karen Banda. Tiene usted el uso de la palabra.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for giving me the floor, and warm greetings from Zambia to all the delegates in this global meeting. Allow me to first start by commending Secretariat for organizing this meeting and for keeping us constantly informed, despite the prevailing challenges associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. Coming to the listed priority areas of implementation, Zambia wishes to state that we welcome the listed priority areas for implementation. And for us, specifically the one relating to air pollution, we consider this to be very timely because for the first time in our country, we are in the process of developing national standards to control pollution from mobile sources such as motor vehicles. And so we look forward to participating in this program to contribute to its implementation and also to benefit from the available support as well as learn from the experiences of others, even as we move forward together. I thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, Zambia. Cedo la palabra al representante de Bangladesh, doctor Islam Babol, tiene la palabra.
Hello. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thank you very much all of you who are hearing me. And actually, this is a good opportunity for me to be here and to be a part of this team, ultimately to implementing the environmental law to be taken by the UNEP. Actually, the secretariat, head of the secretariat says, like, it is very important to implement the strong environmental law. I would like to add with this sentence that we have to have a very strong hand to implement this environmental law. I must thank you that the priority areas the Secretariat finally recognized to address the pollution control, the air pollution control, and Bangladesh actually under the Bangladesh Environmental Protection Act 1995 already working on the air pollution control rules so that we will have the opportunity to work on the same area. I recall the survey in January 2021 so far, and we discuss all these issues with the very key persons, I mean the stakeholders like academics, lawmakers, and all stakeholders involved with the environmental law. So far, I believe to implement this law, we have to assess the country perspectives. If we do not assess the country's perspective and go for implementing this law, it would be very difficult. So, as a focal point of what I understand that it is very important and also important to regional participation in the team. Last time in our regional meeting, I found that the participation is a little bit low. Today, participation is high so far, I believe. So, if the participation from the all corners and if we assess the countries and regional perspectives to implement any specific environmental law, I believe it would be helpful for our find the goal of Montevideo environmental law. And thank you very much for giving me the floor. Thank you very much, everybody.
Marcelo, co-chair Marcelo is frozen on my screen. And
I'm very sorry, I lost my connection for some minutes.
And you're back, perfect.
Sí, agradezco entonces las palabras de Bangladesh y cedo la palabra al representante de la Oficina de las Naciones Unidas para los Crímenes y la Droga, Rui Putonen. Usted tiene la palabra.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for giving us the opportunity to inform the meeting of the tools that we have available at UNODC when it comes to crimes that affect the environment. In collaboration with UNEP, we have indeed developed this legislative guide to develop or draft legislation to combat wildlife crime, and that guide is available online in English and in French. So I also pasted the link to the meetings chat there. In addition, we also have this Sherlock Knowledge Management Portal, where we also collect legislation and case law pertaining to crimes that affect the environment, predominantly wildlife, fisheries, forest crime, but also waste trafficking and illegal mining, crimes in the fisheries sector, and so forth. And those are also the areas on which we are currently in the process of developing such legislative guides. One legislative guide is in the making on waste trafficking, followed by a legislative guide on crimes in the fisheries sector, and then hopefully later this year, one on illegal mining. And we are very glad to make all those guides available, of course, online, and to anybody who may be interested in those. And very much also appreciate any contributions of legislation and case law, as we could then upload it and make it available for everybody in the Sherlock Knowledge Management Portal. This is also a wonderful opportunity to sincerely thank our UNEP colleagues with whom we have had excellent collaboration and are really, truly, truly grateful for that. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Muchas gracias a la representante de Naciones Unidas. Tenemos solicitudes de Guinea y Cote d'Ivoire. Vamos a darle la palabra al representante de Guinea, Abubakar Kaba. Kaba, usted tiene la palabra.
Vous me recevez? Allô?
We can hear you.
Bonjour, Monsieur le Président. Bonjour, Monsieur le co-président. Bonjour à l'ensemble. Je m'appelle Abubakar Kaba. Je suis le point focal national du programme 5 de Montevideo en République de Guinée. Donc, merci, Monsieur le Président, par le programme de Montevideo 5 fixé par la République de Guinée. La Guinée possède des normes environnementales pour la limitation des émissions en termes de particules de poussière.
Monsieur Kaba, we experienced some problems with your connection. En virtud de que quedan apenas unos minutos para la finalización de nuestra reunión, voy a proponer interrumpir la lista de oradores en este momento. Tengo en lista anotados al señor K, a Costa de Marfil, Suiza, a la Escuela Nacional de la Magistratura de Madagascar, me dice la Secretaría que podríamos continuar unos 10 minutos más. Gracias por la indulgencia de ustedes. En ese caso cedería la palabra al representante de Costa de Marfil. Eugene Sagré, usted tiene la palabra.
Bonsoir, monsieur. Est-ce que vous m'entendez?
Oui.
D'accord. Merci beaucoup. Alors, je suis Dr Zagré. Je suis le point focal de la Côte d'Ivoire. Je voudrais donc remercier dans un premier temps les organisateurs de cette réunion extrêmement importante sur le développement du droit de l'environnement. Alors, sur la question des domaines prioritaires qui font l'objet donc d'études, on voudrait donc s'associer à ceux qui nous ont précédés pour dire que nous sommes vraiment disposés à travailler avec vous dans le cadre donc du domaine qui est retenu sur la qualité de l'air. La Côte d'Ivoire dispose d'une réglementation en cette matière, certainement qu'il faudra la renforcer, mais en plus de cela, il y a d'autres domaines qui nous intéressent également parce que nous sommes en train de proposer une réglementation en cette matière. Il y a donc pour les matières les plus importantes, le domaine de la diversité biologique ou de la biodiversité. Il y a le domaine de la gestion écologiquement rationnelle des déchets et enfin celui des changements climatiques. Donc je vous remercie encore une fois pour nous avoir associés à ce travail et nous pensons que nous sommes disposés à échanger plus tard sur ces questions-là. Je vous remercie.
Merci beaucoup. El turno es ahora para la representante de Suiza. El representante de Suiza, Vincent, usted tiene la palabra. Vincent, please, we can not hear you. Vincent, we are waiting for you. Could you hear me? Please, this is your turn. Vincent, unfortunately, I think we have some problem with your voice. We do not hear your sound. We need to continue with the other participant. I'm very sorry. The next is el representante de Qatar, Metab Al-Kabausi. Usted tiene la palabra.
Yes. أهلا بكم. هل تسمعونني؟ هل الصوت واضح؟
Yes. Clear.
واضح الصوت؟ أشكر سيدي الرئيس ومساعديه ومنظمين لهذا الاجتماع الطيب، وأيضا المشاركين من جميع الدول. ملاحظة بسيطة، يعني نتمنى أن نتدارك هذا الأمر، أن الأصوات مرات لا يوجد ترجمة باللغة العربية، فما أدري هل تسمعونني؟ الصوت واضح؟ هل الصوت واضح؟ هل تعرفون ما أتكلم به؟
Yes, we can hear you. Please continue.
أوكي. بالنسبة للنقاط اللي تكلم فيها الأخوة، نتمنى أن يكون في ملخص يعطى بعد هذه الفترة، بحيث يطلع عليه الأخوة لغدا إن شاء الله بما تكلموا به. بالنسبة للبيئة، عندنا طبعا من أهم الأمور هي تلوث الهواء وتلوث المياه، وأيضا تلوث الأراضي. طبعا تلوث الهواء وهو أيضا يدخل أيضا في التنوع، التغير المناخي، والحمد لله بقطر بدأنا المشوار في القوانين والتشريعات من سنة 2002، وأيضا الآن جددنا هذه القوانين وما زلنا في هذا التجديد، وهي أيضا ننظر إلى الهواء وننظر إلى بيئة المياه، وأيضا للتنوع البيولوجي في قطر، وأيضا متقدمين في هذا الآن، لأن ماشيين على قوانين اللي هي متعددة الدول الأطراف، الاتفاقيات الدول، مثل اتفاقية بازل عن الكيميكال أيضا، وأيضا اتفاقية التنوع البيولوجي. وفي الهواء الآن التغير المناخي بما أنه أصبح جديدا، الآن في إعداد لقوانين خاصة أيضا معه، بحيث أن نستطيع أن نؤدي هذا الأمر. نتمنى أن من القوانين الدولية الآن ومن توفيدو 5 أن ننظر للدول، فكثير من الدول فيها اختلافات، قد يكون تلوثات داخلية وقد يكون تلوثات خارجية، وقد يكون نتيجة للفقر ما يستطيعون أيضا يقومون بهذه الأمور. أما إحنا عندنا الحمد لله في هذا، لكن نفضل أن في جميع هذه المجالات، وهي أهم الأمور اللي هي التغير المناخي والبايوديفرسيتي وأيضا التلوث البيئي، أن يكون في تعاون وتبادل خبرات، وأيضا دورات تدريبية يصير مشاركة بين الدول، بحيث كل يستفيد من بعضها البعض. وأتمنى أن القانون الدولي هذا يكون واضح بحيث يخدم الكل. وكل يستطيع أن يأخذ منا أجزاء معينة تنفع له، لأن لا يمكن يعني الدول جميعها بهذا القانون تستطيع قد تستفيد إلا إذا كان ما يخدمها. ونحن نعلم أن كدول إقليمية أو دول مقلقة على بعضها البعض أو دول مفتوحة بعضها عندها أنهار بعضها لا، فيحتاج هذا طبعا أن يستفيد من بعض القوانين بحيث يتطور هذا القانون يكون يخدم الجميع، وأيضا يكون في يعني تشريعات يستفاد منها. وهذا بغيت بس فقط أن أتكلم فيه. والحمد لله احنا في بلدنا قايمين بهذه الأمور، وعندنا أيضا تفتيش وأيضا على أي جنائيات، وعندنا محكمة بيئية تقوم بهذه الأمور، وقد أرسلنا بعض البيانات للمونتيفيديو للنظر في ذلك. وشكرا على الاستماع.
Gracias al representante de Qatar. Puede estar usted tranquilo, vamos a continuar en el día de mañana. Culminamos entonces aquí. Voy a dar la palabra a la Secretaría. To housekeeping announcement. Please, Secretary.
Thank you very much, Marcelo. And first of all, thanks to you and team for guiding us through this first day of the deliberations. And I also want to thank all participants for their active engagement. It has been wonderful to see the exchanges around Montevideo Program 5. And all your inputs will, without any doubt, make this program stronger and ensure that we indeed can deliver for people and the planet. Let me quickly give the floor to my colleague Maria, who will share a bit more information on the breakout groups that have been mentioned at the beginning of this session, with a view to the designation of the steering committee and related discussions in the different regional groups. Maria.
Thank you, Arnold, and good afternoon. As announced by the co-chairs, we have organized informal meetings for the national focal points from each regional group. You should have all received email messages from me, Maria Socorro Manguiat, with a time and date for those informal consultations. And just in case some of you have not had the chance to read your email or have not received the email, I will let you know what the schedule for each region is. So for Africa, it will be from 5:30 to 6:30 East African time today. So that's in about 20 minutes. For Asia Pacific, it will be from 1 to 2 p.m. Bangkok time tomorrow, Thursday, and teams will automatically adjust the invitation to your time zone. For ROLAC, so Latin America and the Caribbean, we have a meeting at 7 p.m. East Africa time, so just a little over 2 hours from now. Meeting invitation has also been sent. For Eastern Europe, the meeting is tomorrow from 1 to 1:45 p.m. Central European time, so right before our meeting here. And for WIOG, it will be tonight as well at so 5:30 to 6:15 Central European time. So a little over an hour from now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maria. And only a minor additional point from the Secretariat. We would please ask delegates when they sign in for tomorrow's session to please sign in according to the guidelines for participation, meaning to put the country or affiliation before they put their name. This will greatly facilitate the work of the Secretariat and the co-chairs in identifying speakers for tomorrow's session. Thank you very much, and back over to you, co-chair.
Thank you very much. We can finalize our meeting today, and we can resume tomorrow morning. In this case, see you tomorrow. Thank you very much for all.